Now, the first one to lie in Eden was Adam. When he told Eve not to touch the tree, lest she die. And, well, you're like, well, how did she eat it? Adam told her that, huh? Well, there's only two there. She knew there was a tree she wasn't supposed to eat of herself. So Adam at least had to tell her the same thing God told him at first, but then she must have asked something else. Where's it at? Dummy. You know, if I say it's the tree in the middle of the garden, do not touch it, lest ye die, I'm adding to the commandment of God. God didn't say that. That was right. In fact, God didn't give a location for the tree at all. Moses tells you the story this way, though. There were two trees that were rather different than all the other trees. They're called the tree of life or the tree of knowledge of good and evil. They too produce fruit of the body. Now, the difference with the tree of life, though, is it wouldn't teach you anything evil, or good and evil, or good and evil. Right, but the tree of knowledge of good and evil would teach you the knowledge of good and evil, the knowledge of good and evil, right? Its fruit is also of its body, which, like a tree, is a fruit tree, right? And that's the way the fruit tree reproduces. That's what the fruit of the tree is for, right? For it to reproduce another tree, like itself, as with human beings who reproduce too, of the fruit of their body, right? So Adam was told by God not to eat of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, meaning his penis, right? As pointed out in Song of Solomon, when her lover, chapter 2, is compared to an apple tree, right? And she was sitting in his shadow, right? And his fruit was sweet to her mouth, right? Whatever that means, right? What do you think it means? This is something they might conceal in Revelations, right? Chapter 4, not being worthy to understand what it means. Right? The fruit, though, for the seed to come out of is the penis. It has sperm, or a little worm, that goes into the egg, or the base, the earth of the flesh, and he's heaven. Why? Because he can produce male or female children, right? That's why. That's what Now, you're taught condemnation will be to judge which condemns you, right? That's why Jesus said, judge not, lest ye be judged, condemn not, or you're condemning yourself, right? If you think someone's doing something wrong, yet you're doing wrong to that person too, you're both guilty, right? By the way, you're not to judge under condemnation, you're to judge and forgive each other your trespasses, right? Hello. Or your debts even, right? Hello, right. What you owe each other in your own mind, right. Two, now we all need a place to sleep, right? Our home. We all need transportation, our vehicles, right? We all need food, right? And we all need a companion. Mine's preferably female, right? And if yours is male or female and you're the same gender, I was taught by Jesus to work with that too, because the corruption of the law is the problem, right? Men can corrupt the law by not understanding what the law is for, right? To help men work with each other. Without rules, you would have anarchy, right? Rules are a good thing, but there again, you can take them too far. Now, another thing people are confused about is sex with children or underage people, or what is the age of consent per state? Well, one It's different per state, especially in Georgia and Nevada, where 16 years old can consent to sex. Right. That's a little younger, huh? Now, New York and California, guess what the age is there? 18. Right. So in most of the movies, right, you're told 18 is the age of consent for those two states, right? Because most movies are, even Broadway or even, right, things of that nature are shot there, right. Like I said, right. Now, paying attention to your environment is what this is all about, right? Now, the problem is, once you're diagnosed with a mental illness, the psychiatrist or psychologist mark you as mentally ill forever. They don't think you can get better or worse, but that's full of crap, too, because they don't know. They don't know. That's another problem with psychiatry or psychology, and I know Mr. Cruz ain't totally right. People might have mental problems where they need some guidance, at least, right, during that time where they're confused a little bit, especially about religion, right? See, we all got to deal with religion here, right? And guess what? This Bible should say the same thing. If it don't, you're trying to change what it's saying, right? Or you're confused about it, or the word can mean more than one thing. I don't know. It's a word. It's a word. Generally, a word has one main meaning, though, right? And the rest, you're adding to it a little bit. Now, if one version says, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free," and another version says, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free," right? Is either statement wrong? No. The context and idea is the same, whether it's make or set you free, right? What's the difference between the two words, right? The truth is what makes you free or sets you free from what? The lie? The lie you were told about. From who? The devil, right? Or even Adam and Eve, right? Who lied when God asked them certain questions, right? And blamed each other, right? Until both died 930 years later, right? Of natural causes, I guess, right? Now, we don't know what happened to the tree of the knowledge of good and evil after it sinned with Adam and Eve, but it had to feed them its fruit of its body, too, right? And with him, if he's a human being like us, he can move around, right? Is that why God didn't give a location for the tree in Eden? Right. He knew it could move around, too, right. See, if something can move around, you can't give a location for it either, right? Also, you want him to ask you, "Hey, there's a bunch of trees in this garden. Which one is it?" Maybe. And the you're told, "Ask and ye shall receive. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be open to you," right? You know, that's a knock, right? And the point is, right, you are the vessel of God or Satan, right? You treat people right or wrong, right? You take advantage of people yourself, too. But I'm just a religious person reading the Bible a lot that you, in places you ain't read before. And you can't be prejudiced about that just because you ain't read it or make me the liar when you were lied to, right? The same way I was, right? You don't think I was taught the same thing you were taught, but realize how we're lying to each other about it, right? That's all that is, right? Now, if I don't have the scripture to explain it to you, then I have nothing but my imagination, yeah, but if there's a scripture another man said, that's in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses that every word is established, right? Then it's something of God, sir. Or ma'am. And it's not just my imagination anymore, it's yours now, right? You're imagining something you were told that was a half-truth, right? It's not that it's totally a lie, but it's not totally the truth either. And you might be uncomfortable with the idea, but you got to look into it how I did, right? First, medically, is there such a thing as a human being being born as both genders from the sin in Eden, or the sin in Genesis 6, right? Or both, actually, right? The sin in Eden probably caused the sin in Genesis chapter 6 as well, right? If Satan had sex with the daughters of men. Mm-hmm. Himself being Adam and Eve themselves, right? So who taught the other angels they could do that too? Satan, Adam and Eve. Satan, Adam and Eve. So if the daughters of Adam, or even the sons of Adam, had sex with the sons of Elohim, right, or God, or gods even, right. Elohim is plural, and they too could be male and female or hermaphroditic. Right? Where does the gene come from, right? If we're normally male or female. Mm-hmm. Do you understand, right? That has to be introduced sexually into the gene pool, right? Which Genesis 6 opens up the idea of that, right? That they became human beings, though former angels in their angelic form, right? But became human in a human form, right? And had sex with the daughters of men because they were attractive ladies. And they chose to do so. And rebellion, like Satan, from God, right? They weren't supposed to, right? Now, God can forgive anyone who repents, even these angels, right? Some people think they can't, right? Well, it's like any sin. Sure you can, right? The difference is, though, right? Even the unjust angels have to be resurrected after the millennial reign of Christ, which could be within 980 years from now or more. I don't know. All we know, John mentions 10 days, which could be as 10,000 years to the Lord. Half an hour, which could be as 20 years, right? To 40 years for an hour, right? And he's trying to hint something about the end, right. But he's not saying it clearly, right? Obviously, it's been 2,000 years after all that, right? Or so, too, right? Since he wrote it even, right. Remember, he wrote it around 90 AD, about 20 years after the destruction of the temple. I don't know. That's what I heard. That's all I can tell you about it, too, right? The rest is a choice you have to make, right, every day, right? But I don't condemn you. I forgive you, as Jesus said. We all make mistakes. You can lie to anyone, and I can lie to you, right? That's the problem. But if we condemn it, we're condemning ourselves. If we forgive it, we're forgiving ourselves, right? You never understood that message of Jesus? Well, I'm trying to help you better understand it. That's all I can do, right? It's not because we're not doing each other wrong or don't deserve a just punishment, but the punishment fits the crime, right? Now, if you have sex with an underage girl and you get her pregnant or something, you still owe her the same child support you would pay an adult woman, too. You just didn't know her age was 15, right? See, there's a humane way to handle that, not just murder the person who thought she was 37 in cold blood in front of everybody in the store. Possibly. Is a reaction to that if he didn't know she was 37 or not, right? But you did. It don't mean he did. Two different scenarios there, right? Two. And see, the law has to listen to both sides of the case, right? Did the male, who was told the girl he was 50, lie to the female, or did the female lie to the male and confuse the male? Who knew he had weird sex encounters before her, right? Even with the girl who worked at the store and wanted to have sex with him later on and told him to come back to his own, right? Now, all he would do is ask her if she wanted to or not, and she could say yes or no, right? If she said yes, he had sex with her. If she said no, he wasn't. But he's thinking she's 37, not 15. He didn't know nothing about that. Whether you think he did or not is beyond the facts of the case, right? He didn't meet her to that day either, right? Michelle's a common name. I can sleep with any girl named Michelle if she consents, right? 15 or 37, actually. Right. There's no crime if you don't know the person's real age and you ask them and they lied. They lied. You didn't know they were 15 or 37. Right. You can only ask the person their age. Right. And they're required to tell you the truth, but if they lie, you don't know they're lying. Right. See, I'm not a mind reader to know she's lying or telling the truth. I never said I was. Right. You might think that, maybe yourself for certain reasons. But I've been watching movies for years. If I can figure out a plot or not, that's just my understanding of the movie, right? What I had seen of it so far, like with Star Wars. How would I surmise that Harrison's Ford character, Han Solo, might come back from the dead, right? Well, who didn't come back from the dead, right? Even Darth Vader died and came back from the dead. And that follows the storyline, right? That's all it is. That's all it is. You're writing a story in a series of novels by George Lucas. Are you that shallow yourself to not realize that's an easy follow-up to that idea, right? Not only that, that Ben would also see his dad again, right? To convert him fully to the, what do they call it? The Jedi way, right? Versus the Sith way, right? The light side of the Force or dark side of the Force, whichever it is, right? And you know, if you see Ben Kenobi again, right? Or Yoda again, right? Or that's two of the main characters you know were somewhat resurrected from the dead, right? And who Luke saw again after they did. And then Darth Vader himself, he saw him, right? Right? So that's three characters you know up to that point in the Jedi world were resurrected from the dead, so to speak. Right? So why not with Harrison Ford? Right there. Yeah. Do I have to explain it to you? Sure. I can. What, you didn't think that far in advance yourself? Why not? Why not? Right. It's a simply foregone conclusion. In other words, would make sense. Would make sense. In the Star Wars universe itself, that if you kill your father, he can still come back and haunt your butt. And if you're a Jedi or a Sith Lord, right. So, of course, they did that with Han's character, right? And you didn't know that, huh? Right. Or I told you in advance and then you're mad with me for figuring it out. You know, you can figure out a plot if it's in the same series and that's part of the plot. Right. From the beginning, right? The first one brought back was who? Right. Ben Kenobi, right? The second one was Yoda. The third one was Darth Vader himself after he went back to the light, right? And then who was the fourth? Han Solo, right. 4 people were seen by a Jedi, first Luke, though, right. And the last one was seen by Ben Kenobi, right? Ben Solo, right? So why can't you figure that out yourself? Why is that a shock to you that I figured that out? It's like with Nancy Drew or something like that. Or Batwoman instead of Batgirl. Ain't that a simple upgrade from Batgirl to Batwoman when it's Batman? Right. You've been doing all that before. Even Batgirl kind of became a brief series herself, but again, or was seen on Batman and never became a series. Whichever you're doing, you're trying to make it a show. Even the Hardy Boys could become a show again one day, but Nancy Drew was popular too back then when I was growing up. Right. So how can I know that the CW would do that? I didn't, right? But I'm heard of those shows before, and I'm suggesting, well, that might be something they can do in the future, right? I didn't know which network either, by the way. Or Kung Fu with women instead of men, right? Being the star, right? There you go, there you go. Well, we can do Kung Fu too, right? I know that. My mom took karate with me, right? I told you that before too, right? But if you're carnally minded because the men around you are carnally minded or saboteurs of their own relationships, right? You're going to sabotage mine because I can't find a girlfriend right now. See, that's what happened there. I'm looking for a girlfriend. She said she was 37, named Michelle, and I was with another girl named Michelle, right? So that was younger, right? Both of us were younger then, right? So I seen it as a coincidence, like with her. And since she didn't say she was 15 or anything, I believed her she was 37. And at 37, you don't need ID, right? You're doing a job that's legal for you to do, right? But at 15, you need Social Security card, driver's license, or ID, right? And you can get a Georgia ID at any age with your birth certificate and proof of residency, right? You need 2 forms of ID, though, to get the ID, right? But an ID ain't the same as a driver's license. You can get an ID at any age, right? Even children can get an ID. And you also need a Social Security card and the Georgia Board of Labor, right, whatever they call it, right? Is where you get permission for a girl to do that job, right? I know all that before I even went into the store. It's called the Department of Labor. That's what it's called, right? So you go to the Georgia Department of Labor on White Bluff. If you want to work a 15-year-old girl, you got to have her Social Security card, her ID of some sort, right, with the picture, and right, maybe her birth certificate too. I don't know what all they require, but right, and do paperwork so she can work at 15, right? So usually that's if she's pregnant and wants out of school and wants to emancipate from her parents or something, right? They don't normally do that though, right? Either. But you're using what some idiot is saying to you I didn't do, and they can't prove I did it either. Well, what can my ex-wife do about it, or me, or you? See, you can't prove or disprove an accusation, right? And once the accusation is made, most people tend to believe the accuser, even if they're not directly involved with the case, right? And there's only so many people I know might could have accused me of it, including if I met someone that I thought I fell from the building. Right. I thought I fell from, right. Including the church I was involved with, could get got involved with, or my shipmates, right, which causes another problem, right. Or the girl's biological dad, right, and co-parent on that side, right. Which I'm a co-parent of the child at the time anyway, right? So they're trying to say I somehow molested her when I was sleeping on the couch and she was in the bedroom with her mother, right? And I keep asking, well, how could that happen? And even if it didn't, I mean, I was just something sexual, right? The only way it could happen is she woke me up, and I don't mean I had sex with her. How do you know? How do you know? I did or didn't. And we're all confused about religion by that point, right? Including when World War III might happen with nuclear war. Everybody's paranoid about that shit, right? And not acting normal, right? If you say you're not, you're lying. And anyone can lie on someone if they don't want to hear their side of the argument, right? And then you're accusing me of something I didn't do that I can't do without things being aligned to a different degree, right? Even if the girl did wake me up, if I know her mom's there, I ain't not going to do nothing sexual with her. Now, I might do something to help her pee or go to the bathroom or, right, even bathe her maybe, right? Which are different reasonings, right? in my mind and the child's mind. And if I ask her who showed her that, and I'm just doing something a parental figure would do, like grandma, right? She would say, Grandma, I showed her that, not me, not you. It's not a crime to do that with a child who's trying to wake you up and you don't know why, right? It only becomes a crime, right, if you're trying to actually have sex with her, not smell her if she's peeing, or undress to take a shower with her, right? But then redress because that doesn't make sense. Even to you, so you change your mind, right? You're trying to figure out, though, initially why she's there with you, and you're just thinking logical thoughts, right? Not illogical, but then the child ain't acting right either, right? For you to do that with her, too, right? That ain't normal behavior for a child to do with you, right? If you just met her that day or that weekend, right? It's just a bit too much for either one, right? But it's still not too far if you're a step parent, right? It's something you can do anyway. One of the step parents' responsibilities is to teach her to tie her shoes, get dressed in the morning for school, right? Make her lunch if she wants a home lunch or a school lunch, and give her the lunch money. And make sure she's dressed properly. That's it. That's all you can do is send the child to school, right? How do I know that? That's what my mom did with me. When I was a kid myself, right? And that's how you become a parent in this world, right? You do how your parents did you. Or better if you can, but whatever, right? And there we go again, right? We don't have to agree on everything either. I don't have to do everything you do, nor do you have to do everything I do, but we don't murder each other over it. We don't rape each other over it, right? Right. We don't assault each other or vandalize each other's property. We don't steal from each other or try to not to lie to each other, right? That's all you can do here, right? The biggest problem they say is someone lied to us from this magical garden called Eden, and we sin since then, right? By tricking each other, lying to each other, and condemning each other for it, right? If I'm reading it right. And the other side wants us to forgive each other and admit we're human and make mistakes, right? Sound right? Sound right? Okay. That's all you can do is try to figure it out, right? Slowly or quickly, that's what we're here for, right? And if you make a mistake, all you can do is admit to the mistake you made. If the girl said she was 37, there's no reason to even hire her, right? And graduated college, right? No, there's not. No, there's not, right? Really? If you've been with a bunch of other adults and they've had sex with you the same day you met them too, right? I know that too. But who's telling you not to talk about it? But pedophiles don't want to talk about it, right? Those who molest children and rape children don't want people talking about it because they might find out they're wrong doing it, right? Only people who do something wrong don't want to know why it's wrong to do it, right? So they might have to stop. Doing it, right? They don't want to stop doing that particular thing you can do with a child, right? They don't want to acknowledge it's wrong to the child either, right? It don't matter if it feels good to the child, right? The child don't know what it's doing yet. It's not sexually mature either. Those are between the ages of puberty, right? And you don't really finish puberty, they say just around 25 to 35, somewhere in there, right? I don't know. I'm a man and not God too, right? That's what we're all supposed to do. Bye-bye.